In May of 2020, a telescope in California recorded a flash of light from a star 12,000 light years away. It brightened by 100 times in about 10 days, and then it faded. That is not unusual by itself. Stars flare all the time. What was unusual was what the astronomers found when they looked closer. That star had not exploded. It had not collided with another star. It had eaten one of its own planets, an entire world dragged down and swallowed whole. We had always assumed this happens. We had never once caught it in the act. And when scientists worked out the details of how that planet died, they were describing almost exactly what is going to happen to the Earth. Here's how it was found, and it is a wonderfully undramatic story. There is a survey called the Zwicky Transient Facility that photographs the entire northern sky every couple of nights, looking for anything that changes. It finds hundreds of thousands of flickers a year. Supernovae, flaring stars, asteroids drifting past. Almost all of it is noise. But one signal, later given the deeply unglamorous name CTF-SLRN 2020, did not fit any of the usual categories. It was too bright to be an ordinary stellar flare. It was far too dim to be a supernova. A supernova is roughly 1,000,000 times brighter than what they were looking at. So this was something in between, something in a gap where, frankly, nothing was supposed to be. That gap is where the discovery was hiding. So they took the light apart. And this is the part I love, because starlight is not just brightness, it is a message. When you spread starlight into its colors, the atoms in and around the star absorb very specific ones, leaving dark gaps like a barcode. And that barcode tells you exactly what is there. When they read this star's barcode, they found something odd. There was cold material around it, molecules that can only survive at low temperatures, and a lot of freshly made dust. That is a strange thing to find hugging a hot star. Dust like that does not form in the heat. It forms when material gets thrown outward, expands, and cools. So the picture was already assembling itself. Something had recently been flung off this star in a hurry. The star had thrown up. Now put the pieces together the way the team did. A flash of visible light lasting about 10 days. A bright glow in infrared, meaning warm dust. Cold molecules and fresh dust in the surroundings. And a total energy release far too small for a supernova, but far too large for a normal flare. Only one story fits all of that. A planet, roughly the size of Jupiter or larger, spiraled into its star and was swallowed. As it fell in, it plunged through the star's outer layers. The friction and the sheer force of that plunge blasted a shell of the star's own material outward. That ejected shell expanded, cooled, and condensed into the dust they detected. The flash was the impact. The dust was the wreckage. What they had photographed was not a star behaving strangely. It was a funeral. But why would a planet fall in at all? Orbits are supposed to be stable. Well, mostly they are, and this is where it gets subtle. When a planet orbits very close to its star, the two of them tug on each other. The planet raises a tide on the star, a slight bulge, exactly the way our moon raises tides in our oceans. And because that bulge is not perfectly aligned, it acts like a brake. Very gently, over millions of years, it steals energy from the planet's orbit. The orbit shrinks. And here's the cruel part. The closer the planet gets, the stronger the effect becomes, so the faster it falls. It is a slow slide that turns into a plunge. A planet can spend 1 billion years drifting inward almost imperceptibly, and then finish the last part of the journey in a matter of days. Now, science does something here that I think is genuinely beautiful. The original explanation was that the star had swollen up into a red giant and engulfed the planet as it expanded. Reasonable, expected. But in 2025, Astronomers pointed the James Webb Space Telescope at the scene of the crime, and the story changed. Webb found that the star was not a bloated giant at all. It was still an ordinary star, not so different from our sun, so it had not reached out and grabbed the planet. Instead, the planet had come to it. That world had been spiraling inward on its own for a very long time, and it finally fell. Same ending, different killer. And notice what happened. The first answer was not embarrassing. It was a hypothesis that better data corrected. That is not science failing. That is science working exactly as it should. So how often does this happen? Astronomers estimate that in our galaxy, a star swallows a planet something like a few times every year, which means that while you have been watching this video, somewhere in the Milky Way, it is plausible that a world has ended. We have found thousands of planets orbiting other stars, and a striking number of them orbit absurdly close, whipping around their star in days. Those planets are on the same slide. This event was not a freak accident that we were lucky to catch. It is a routine feature of how planetary systems age. We simply had never had a telescope watching the right patch of sky at the right moment. Now that we know the signature to look for, we will find these everywhere. The galaxy is quietly eating its own children, and it always has been. Which brings us home. Our sun is an ordinary star, and ordinary stars do not last. In roughly 5 billion years, the sun will exhaust the hydrogen in its core, and its outer layers will swell enormously. It will become a red giant, expanding out to something like 200 times its current size. Mercury will go first, then Venus, both simply engulfed. Earth's fate sits right at the edge of our calculations, because as the sun loses mass, our orbit will drift outward slightly, which might just save us. But most models say it does not. Most models say the Earth is swallowed too. And honestly, that debate is a technicality, because long before any of that, the story's already over. The sun is slowly brightening. In about 1 billion years, that alone will boil the oceans away. Earth becomes uninhabitable long before it is consumed. Here is what I keep coming back to. That flash in 2020 was, in a real sense, a recording of our own future. 12,000 light years away, a planet fell into its star and let out one last pulse of light. And that light traveled for 12,000 years and arrived at a telescope built by a species that had just recently figured out how to look. We watched a world die, and in doing so, we watched a preview of the death of ours. There is something almost unbearable in that, and something wonderful. Because for nearly all of cosmic history, these endings happened with nobody watching. No record, no witness. This one had a witness. That is new. That is only about 100 years old as a capability. Now, I want to be careful here, because 5 billion years is a genuinely absurd amount of time, and it would be silly to walk away from this feeling sad. Let me put it in perspective. Complex life has existed on Earth for about 600 million years. The sun will not become a red giant for around 5 billion. That is roughly 8 times longer than the entire history of complex life still ahead of us. Every human being who has ever lived, every civilization, every language, every song occupies a sliver of time so thin it barely registers on that scale. So this is not a countdown you need to worry about. Nobody is canceling their plans. The interesting thing is not the deadline. It is the fact that we know about it at all. Because think about what actually happened here. A planet died 12,000 years ago. The light of its death crossed an unimaginable emptiness, and it landed on a piece of glass in California that was built by creatures made of the same elements as that planet, who had assembled enough understanding to read that flash and say, correctly, a world just ended there. We are the part of the universe that noticed. Every atom in you was forged inside a star that died. And here you are, watching stars die and understanding what you are seeing. The universe has been doing this for 13.8 billion years in total darkness, in the sense that nothing was there to comprehend it. And then, extremely recently, on one small wet rock, it started to. So the next time you are outside at night and you look up, remember that you are looking at a machine that eats worlds, and that ours is on the menu, and that this is completely fine. The sun that will one day swell up and destroy the Earth is the same sun that has been feeding every living thing on this planet for 4 billion years. It is not a threat. It is a life cycle, and we happen to be living in the good part of it. A star ate a planet, and we saw it. And that seeing is the strangest and most valuable thing in the whole story. Not the destruction, the witnessing. So let me leave you with this. If you knew for certain that everything you are standing on is temporary, and that you get to be here for the part where it is beautiful, what would you actually do with that? Tell me in the comments. And if you like the real science explained without the boring parts, subscribe to First Principles Talk. We're just getting started.